All right, what is up, Speak Truth Sports? This is Bert. I'm back once again with Sparsh, and today we are going over a new thing that the NBA is trying to push, that they're trying to implement, trying to figure out how to get it in there. It's an in-season tournament, so sometime during the middle of the season, presumably, they'd have a tournament. I assume with all the teams in the league, and Shams Charania is the one who talked about this being a possibility that Adam Silver is trying to push for. Sparsh, I believe you have the tweets about it.
Yeah. I'll just pull it up again. So Shams he tweeted yesterday prior to this recording. So September 13th, he tweeted, "The NBA is discussing having an in-season tournament in future seasons with $1 million per player in prize money." Sources tell at The Athletic and at the stadium. The concept was discussed on a competition committee call today. So that's what's been sort of going on with Shams. Tweet about that. So yeah, what do you think about that, Bert?
Honestly, if it's like a March Madness type of tournament where it's like single game elimination, I think it could be really fun. The only problem is the incentive, I don't think, is high enough for teams to play their big players. And so that makes me wonder where will they get this $1 million per player? That's possibly like 15 to 17 million dollars, right? How will they get that money? Is it just going to be from the views that they get? Because if the big stars aren't playing, I don't think it'll attract as many views. Although it will be, if it's a March Madness type tournament, it will be more intense. And also, when are they going to do this? Because if they do this before March Madness, they could definitely sneak in on that hype. It could be like a pre-mini March Madness to the actual one. But if they do it after, it's going to be kind of, weighed down a little bit because we just had March Madness. If they do it during, it's going to be competing. That's not going to be good. So There's a lot to take in with when are they going to do this? Is the incentive enough? And what kind of tournament is it going to be?
Yeah. When is the All-Star break again? Do you happen to remember?
It's around February.
That's usually what I was saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was something that I was sort of thinking, right? Because the one thing that we noticed a lot this season, and despite sort of the 5-month sort of break, I guess, quote unquote break, when it was more like quarantine that they got due to COVID, right? As we all know, we noticed and like unreasonably high amount of injuries this season.
Yeah.
And, looking at this from sort of like a player's perspective, it's like, okay, what do I gain out of going, through this tournament, right? It's just like, is it really worth sort of risking all of that, just for something that might not even have that big of an impact? We're already seeing like lots of load management, happen in the NBA. This is really sort of a players driven league. They make their decisions, quite easily, especially the superstars, right? And if you have superstars sitting in these, tournament games, it's like, it's gonna bring the ratings down. There's been lots of displeasure amongst the fans already, seeing stars load manage, right? It's not really too great of a look. I mean, I understand these players need rest, but then you're saying, to your point, right? It's like $1 million per player. Where are they going to get that money? They're going to need these guys to play, and if they're sitting out, it's gonna bring down their revenue even more. And I don't know how they're going to really sort of be able to fund that. But I mean, the play-in tournament, that was honestly a pretty good concept, especially because the season was shortened, right? So you never know what an additional 10 games could do. But in a full season, I'm not really sure if like the play-in tournament should stay, because now you played the full 82 games. The seeding should just be that. But there was something that I was thinking, with like the injuries and all, I was thinking that the best time for this would honestly be during the All-Star break. And what I was thinking is, after, sort of the skills contest, the All-Star game, etc., have the tournament be like for that week, right? And have the All-Star break just extend for that time. So, I mean, if you're going to have that, right, I mean, you're going to definitely have to like lengthen the season a bit. right? Probably by an extra week
Couple
or so.
weeks probably.
Yeah, but like if you can find a way to also, put some rest in between there, at least the players' legs are a bit fresher during that All-Star break. And you could probably get something out of there. But it's like, yeah, I'm not too sure because then again, what are the players' incentives? Because I'm trying to think about the rewards, that they could get other than $1 million that might raise an even bigger incentive to draw players in. I mean, what do you have?
So there's a couple things I was thinking about. One could be a guaranteed playoff spot where if they're within the play-in tournament, they automatically just get in as the 8th seed. But that might be unfair to the 10th seed. Another thing I was thinking about was maybe they get a bonus pick in the first round, like a 16th pick, something like right after the lottery, 15th pick. And then that extends the first round by another pick, but it would be a bonus essentially. But that wouldn't motivate the players. That would motivate the owners to pushing the players.
Yeah,
probably peer pressuring them to play.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, I kind of agree with what you were saying about the timing of it. But my issue is, I feel like a tournament of this size would take at least 2 to 2.5 weeks to finish, especially if it's all 30 teams.
Yeah,
March Madness takes like a month to finish. Although
Yeah.
they do give their players a long break.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I was just trying to think like what is the best way they can condense it, but I mean, yeah, even a week just seems really unrealistic.
Yeah, but if they condense it too much, then you got injury issues happening, most likely again.
Yeah, and I mean, we're already getting way too many of that this year and during the playoffs as well. Like the injuries have really had a big impact on a lot of these teams' playoff runs. That's something that we obviously cannot deny. Who knows what the playoffs would have been like if a lot of these stars were healthy, or even at least 80 to 90% of what they are.
And if it's all scrunched into a week, that's even more incentive for big players to not play. And so this will essentially become a who has the best bench in the league tournament, basically.
The thing that sort of really I find that could be a problem, right? If you're thinking about a reward like an 8th seed, an automatically guaranteed seeding position, if you're a team remember the Bubble Suns that just had that 7-0 run?
Yeah.
Right. And if you're going to have a tournament, sort of like a March Madness style tournament, and you just happen to have some 10th seed just go off, right, and just happen to take that 8th seed, I'm not really sure how that's going to, look for, teams that finish in the 9th seed, possibly with a better record by the end of the season, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like that can lead to a lot more problems. There was something that I was thinking though, because
or maybe if you have guaranteed play-in spot,
that can be something. But I was thinking, how you have a 32 sort of team bracket, right? So it's 16, right? So you around I think around 4 games or 4 or 5 games you play. I was thinking maybe a reward would be the winner of that tournament is they get 4 or 5 wins added to their ranking. So how each win counts as 2 points, right?
Yeah.
So they get those 8 or 10 points added to that standing. So that's what I was thinking could happen, and only the winner gets that. So not all the other teams. So because then again, that just counts as extra games. But I think that if you have something like that, where the winner takes all the point totals from that win, for their wins, then I think that could have a bigger incentive without sort of drastically, affecting another team's chances of making the playoffs, especially, if they're a 9th or 10th seed, right? We've seen it before, just how close some of these standings can get, where it's 3 or 4-way tie. And, I was thinking if one team is guaranteed a spot, then if it's a situation where it's that close between those other teams, right, it's definitely an unfair sort of advantage. And that's why I was thinking maybe have the win points sort of added to that total.
That could be a solution. But then the problem with that is, like, let's say a team is the fourth seed in the East and they happen to have won the tournament. Let's say those 5 games jump them up to the second. Now you're screwing over 2 other teams who are doing good in the playoffs. I mean, I think maybe the guaranteed play-in spot would be the best for the lower seeded teams, but once again, it wouldn't get the higher seeded teams interested because they're already going to make the playoffs most likely. It's kind of tough to come up with a suitable reward, because $1 million to a lot of these players just means nothing to a lot of the big stars in the league. I mean, that's like 1/30th of their contract. It's still a lot of money, but it's not something they need.
These guys make so much money off of like their endorsements and other deals. Like they make a lot more out of that than like NBA contracts. I mean, yeah, this will definitely help like the lower rotation guys more who are making, you know, just a few $1 million on their contracts, or even like the guys who are, you know, non-guaranteed or, you know, two-way deals. But like when you're sort of thinking about like the seeding, right? Like how the landscape of the NBA has changed. We got the teams in the East and the West, right? The East is, those top 3 and 4 teams are definitely a powerhouse compared to like the lower seeding. So it's like, do those top 4 teams really benefit a lot from that? I mean, maybe if they get a home court advantage by going up a seed. But then you look at the West, right? And I'm not saying that the East is better than the West, but what I'm saying is, at least in the West, the competition is a lot more sort of spread out. And you see a lot more teams like literally within games of just like, they can easily go from like a 3rd seed to an 8th seed within a matter of like 2 losses, even like after the All-Star break. So it's just like, it's really tough depending on who wins this tournament, because this sort of thing, like winning this tournament could literally project them up like 5 seeds, or it could just be meaningless, right? So it's not like the reward doesn't really mean the same to whichever team wins it.
Yeah, so I pulled the standings from last year. If you were to increase whoever won the tournament by 5, like their wins, if you're in the East, the New York Knicks or the Hawks, if either of them had won the tournament, they would be the 3 seed, possibly over the Bucks.
That's crazy, man.
And that would affect matchups a lot. If the Lakers had won in the West, they would have jumped to the 3 seed, tied with the Nuggets and Clippers, which would have also really greatly affected their matchups. It's and something else is that this kind of gives rebuilding teams no reason to win the tournament if you add win totals, because they are not trying to win.
Yeah, they're more so just looking to get that pick.
Yeah, like if the Rockets had won 3 more games, they would be tied with the Pistons for their odds, and the Pistons got the first pick. Maybe the Rockets get the first pick this time, and then that kind of screws the Pistons into going, falling back to the 3rd pick. It's really nuanced type system. I'm not exactly sure. It should be 3 wins, 5 wins, or if they should even go that style. It's like we've been saying, like it's just such a difficult thing to come up with a reward for. How are we going to get every single team in the league motivated to play in this tournament and try to win?
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see a reasonable reward that fits for everybody unless it's a big amount of money. And $1 million is a big amount of money, but it's not a huge amount of money like some of these players would need.
It's really not much to these guys. It just doesn't seem really enticing for them to put themselves.
It's not worth the injury. Yeah, it's not worth the possible injury risks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I agree, man. This is sort of like a really sort of weird proposal that they're making. I mean, I've been seeing like the comment sections and like everybody's just sort of like, why are you doing this? Right? This literally doesn't really make any sense if you actually like take the time and like think about it just for even like 5 minutes.
I mean, I would enjoy it.
I don't know. I mean, I'd enjoy it too.
Yeah.
But it's just like, in the end, is this really what will help the NBA? Like, if this does help the NBA, I don't think it's going to be anything big. I mean, I guess it's something, but it's just, I'm not sure how this will really help a lot.
I just think they're looking at March Madness and like seeing how much they're profiting off March Madness, because they are making a lot of money off March Madness, and they're trying to get in on that. And while I don't hate the idea, I just can't think of a way they can implement this and not make the players mad or make the players feel like they're forced to play, or just motivate all teams 1 through 30 to actually compete for this tournament.
And I mean, then again, right, the March Madness and the NCAA season, it's a lot shorter than the NBA season too.
Yeah.
Right. So like having that kind of style of a tournament already in like 72, 82 game season, I mean that's going to be pretty like physically demanding on these players as well.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
I mean that's just sort of how like the NBA players' health is nowadays.
Yeah.
It's just like, compared to back then, what we're seeing now is that these players, they really over condition themselves. And it's just there's just been a lot more injuries, recently. I mean, that's just sort of part of the trend that's been, going with the athleticism of these players. So I'm not really sure how the players would really see this as something helpful to them, or even something that could even get them interested. Because I'm looking at it, I'm trying to look at this from a player's perspective. I'm not really sure. This doesn't sound too interesting, to the players. But then again, right, I mean the NBA wants to make money, so they're definitely probably going to take the fans' interest over it, right? But that's probably just how it's going to be.
Yeah, and I mean another issue with this is that I could see it being implemented right before the All-Star break, so that the teams that are eliminated can just chill and they can just go into their All-Star break. But then it's like some teams might just want to break early, like they don't care about the $1 million. So they're just like, we'll throw our bench and our third unit out there. They'll play, they'll do whatever, and we'll just rest, and we'll just keep resting. And then they're going to be resting for like 2 to 3 weeks, and when they come back, they might be rusty. So at that point, you're kind of splitting the entire NBA season into 2 halves. It's not like there's a little break in the middle. It's like there's a semester's worth, or sorry, it's like the break between 2 college semesters worth of a break.
I go what you mean. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, if you have that rest there, I mean, like, why not take it, right? Especially if there are players injured before that tournament.
Yep.
Right, and you don't want to rush them. It's just like, hey man, just like take this break, or if they're feeling some sort of soreness, why even get them to play if they can just rest?
Yeah.
Right. So,
so
then again, it's just there's just so much of an issue trying to sort of raise the interest of the players while also maximizing the participation of these players and the revenue. Like these two aren't really going hand in hand together as well as the executives really want it to be, right? It's not sort of black and white. I mean, this is just sort of really complex. It's just how the competition and sort of how the players have taken a lot more sort of control of their own decisions in this league.
Yeah, so I mean, all in all, I think we can just agree that the $1 million is not going to be enough, most likely.
No.
And we both can't really see a way to make this happen while keeping as many people happy as possible. Somebody's going to be upset. Some players are not going to play, mostly the stars, most likely. And what's going to motivate the worst teams to play as well? I don't know. It's tricky, and the NBA is gonna have to take a long time to figure this out. We will get back on this topic when there's more details of what they're really thinking. This is just kind of an overview, something that's going to be proposed when the new I believe it's like 2022, it's sometime in the future, just whenever the players and Adam Silver can negotiate about this. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got for now.
Same on my end, man. I can't think of anything more.
Yeah, I mean, thank you all for watching. This is Miss Be True Sports. I've been Bert.
I'm Sparsh.
We'll catch you guys next time. Check out our channel, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching.
Take it easy.